Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another dose of your weekly rundown. We are back after a little break, had a nice vacation. I caught a little tan, I don't know if you could tell, just a little light one over in my homeland. But we are back, baby, and we got some news going on. But first, I am in the building with my co-host, as always, all the way from the U, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
Good. I'm doing great. I know you're doing better after coming back from vacation.
I'm feeling nice, man. You know, just back on the daily grind. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. So, how do we start off with some NFL news? We got to. The NFC East has come down to Week 17. The Philadelphia Eagles have been eliminated from playoff contention, but the New York Giants, the Washington football team, and the Dallas Cowboys are all still alive. Whoever wins between the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys in Week 17 will make the playoffs with a Washington loss. If Washington wins, they are in. So, this is interesting, man. I got to tell you, we were monitoring the playoff watch for the Giants specifically, but to see it come down to three teams, is very interesting indeed. And I mean, none of these teams are very good. I mean, from the standpoint of Washington and the Giants, it's a nice team builder experience to get a lot of these, because they're both relatively young teams, to get these guys that playoff experience and whatnot, regardless of them getting knocked out first round. But, you know, Alex Smith is expected to start. We'll talk a little bit more with the Washington situation after this, but he is expected to start. It's possible they might get another quarterback in there if he's not ready, because he's dealing with a calf injury right now. On the Giants side, Daniel Jones is also expected to start after playing last week, but he's hampered. He's got the hamstring injury as well as an ankle sprain. So he can't really do the things that we've been accustomed to seeing him do, where he was developing very well, and it's definitely hampered the Giants a bit. So when you've been watching this unfold, especially now, it's down to Week 17, winning, you're in. What's going on in your head?
Like you said, they're not really good teams, but I guess it gives us some excitement, the fact that they're not good teams. But, you know, everyone kind of likes to see it come down to the last shot and come down to the last game or something like that. So it gives some excitement for, I guess, a conference that wasn't that good. So that's one thing. So that's what I think right now, just some excitement to see who kind of gets in and who doesn't.
Yeah, most def, man. We'll talk more about the playoff scenario and which one of these teams gets in, like who they'll play and whatnot. But it's definitely something to look forward to. I mean, and they all play each other. The Washington football team is playing the Philadelphia Eagles, so like the Eagles could play spoiler for Washington. We'll learn a little bit more. Is Jalen Hurts definitely that guy for them, or should they maybe stick with Wentz? We'll learn more about that, and then, you know, the classic Cowboys-Giants rivalry as well in there. So definitely something to watch out for. But to stay in the NFC East, in the Washington football team, they drafted Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State a year ago, 15th overall. Now, he didn't start right away, ended up getting the starting job. He didn't finish the season because he got hurt. But one thing we learned about him was he wasn't terrible in his rookie year, but he wasn't good either. And he had a lot of maturity issues. This year, he started out the gate. Again, looked like a lot of maturity issues, not a lot of development going on and whatnot. He gets benched. Alex Smith eventually takes over with their starting quarterback going down. Alex Smith gets hurt. He gets his opportunity to get back in, and he gets he didn't get benched again. He got waived. You know, it's a lot. Again, the immaturity issues this season. He had two different COVID violation situations. Honestly, him getting waived was more due to the last one than you know, his play. He didn't play. He didn't get cut because of his play. They thought they needed to keep starting him because he was the best option available with Alex Smith out, and it turned out he wasn't. So he's out of there. And I mean, I'll be the first to say it. I was completely wrong about Dwayne Haskins, as a lot of people were. I thought that this kid was going to be something special. The things he did at Ohio State was amazing. And, you know, now looking back on it, he needed to stay in college longer than the 1 year that he got to start over there.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. But It's just interesting because of this whole COVID situation, his violation. So if with him staying in college, really, I guess make him a little more mature. That's kind of something that'd be there. He might have still had these same kind of violations and kind of off the court issues that he was having. So it's unfortunate to see because, like you said, I'll say that I was wrong too. I thought that the Giants should have drafted him, and then but now the Giants look good because Daniel Jones, even though he's not the I guess the greatest player, or because we were kind of surprised, but like I think the Giants kind of lucked out here because at this point you rather have Daniel Jones than have kind of Haskins. So I think a lot of people are wrong about him. So that's just how it's gonna go. It's unfortunate to see where he kind of goes from here. I think it'd be tough for him to kind of land on another team right now.
Yeah, man, for sure. He cleared waivers. I've heard that certain teams that are interested in it. I actually heard that the Carolina Panthers might be interested in him. He would be in a backup role over there. But it's you don't want to wish bad on nobody. So I hope things work out for him. And again, like I said, a lot of immaturity issues. He was not holding himself accountable to a lot of things that were going on there. And again, it's both sides. I do feel like Washington gave up on him too soon. Didn't really have his back, especially with the new regime in there and Ron Rivera and whatnot. But you make the best. Life is what you make it. You make the best of the situations that you have. And he didn't do that. From, again, his rookie season when they got their first win, he wasn't even on the field. He was taking selfies with the fans. Not first time, not a good look. And then this year specifically, he got benched because after a loss, he was in the locker room saying that his stats were actually pretty good. That's just not something you do. And then, of course, the COVID violations as well. So he posted on Twitter that, he's going to hold himself accountable and everything. But again, we'll see. And to me, it looked like he probably should have stayed at Ohio State a little longer than that. Right now, actually, he looks like Jamarcus Russell. He's not, the out of shape guy and whatnot that Jamarcus Russell was, but a lot of similarities there. And Jamarcus Russell was very good in college. Dwayne Haskins was very good in college, and then into the pros, they weren't doing what they had to do on and off the field. So and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. But you said that another year of college may help him, but you think that it really would have helped him? Because honestly, it might have hurt him because he might have still had some of these kind of same issues in college, and then the team, he just keeps falling in the draft. So I guess for like him personally, it was kind of good to come out when he came out. But I guess for teams, if you look at it like a team that's drafting him, you'd be like, yeah, maybe he should have stayed. You could have seen some of this later on.
And it would have helped him mature a little bit, I feel. I think he really needed that. He just was too young to get in the league. He had more time. And what's crazy is, and I don't think it's the immaturity issues would be there, but with Justin Fields at Ohio State now, and he's the consensus number 2 quarterback that'll be taken off the board. We're seeing it a little now in some of the games he's played. Like when they played in Indiana, he didn't look that great. Some people are already starting to say about Justin Fields, and it's not that popular of an opinion, that he should stay in college an extra year just to kind of help him out. And, sometimes it's best for guys to stay in. Like, look at Justin Herbert out for the Chargers. He was a guy in college. I did not like Justin Herbert that much. A lot of people, there were a lot of Giants fans that liked him in the Dwayne Haskins draft. They thought he was going to come out in that draft. He ended up staying an extra year, and it worked out for him because he got to work on a lot of the things that were not up to par for him. Because when I watched him after seeing a lot of things people were saying about him, I'm like, all right, you're right. He does make a lot of amazing throws, but at the same time, he's very inconsistent with what he can do. And I feel like that extra year in college really helped him out. I mean, look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had the opportunity to be the first overall pick. He would have went to the Jets, by the way, but he decided to stay in school an extra year and worked out for him pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. But if you think about it, if he's not going to mature around a whole bunch of pros and things like that, I think being on campus maybe with a younger crowd maybe could help him mature, but it could go the other way too. If you look at it, like I said, in that sense, it's like you're around a whole bunch of pros who come in, veterans kind of maybe take them under their wings and things like that. If you kind of can't mature around those people who come in every day and have to fight for their families and things like that, then it's like you might not mature at all.
I definitely hear that. I don't know if you're playing devil's advocate or not, or if you're really on board with it.
Nah, I'm just playing devil advocate a little bit here, just to maybe the other side. So you never know.
Yeah, definitely. Want to stay on football one more topic. That's because New York football, baby. The New York Jets have had the number one pick the entire season. They go out and they put up one of the biggest upsets, honestly, in NFL history, beating the Rams in a close game like they did, with the Rams being a playoff contending team and a team that people really thought could do something in the postseason. They go out and beat the Rams. Then they play the Browns, who have been playing some great football for a while now, and we're really challenging the Pittsburgh Steelers late in the season for the AFC North crown, and they beat the Browns. So now they are not. It is locked up. Jacksonville has the number one pick. It is very likely Trevor Lawrence is on his way to Jacksonville. I mean, for Jets fans, it's tough. This was your shining grace. This is what you've been hoping for. If you're going to lose, all right, at least we got this at the end of the season. I've always been under the impression that it doesn't matter who you draft as long as your coaching staff that you have right now is still in place, and we'll wait to see how that unfolds. But, I mean, where did the Jets go from here? Because a lot of people still like Sam Darnold. They just think he's been in a bad situation. But a lot of people still think he can be a very good pro. So you could keep Sam Darnold, or you can go with another quarterback. We talked about Justin Fields, who might come out. And another guy I've talked about a little bit, not so much on this show, but to a lot of people personally and a little bit on Twitter, was Zach Wilson out of BYU. So do you go with a quarterback, or do you stick with Sam Darnold and try and build around him a little more? Hopefully get him a new coaching staff.
It's going to be interesting because now it's kind of like, I guess with being the number one pick, you go Trevor Lawrence and then kind of see how things work out from there. But now it's like there's a lot more questions. Like you said, you can stay with Sam Darnold and maybe try to get another position to help him out. And like you said, maybe get a different coaching staff around him. Or you go with a quarterback and kind of do the same thing and see how they kind of duke it out, who gets the starting spot. So the Jets are in like a interesting spot. Obviously, you don't want to miss out on the number one pick, but like you said, in football, people kind of just don't tank. So for them, I think for some people saying like, yeah, if you can win those games, you should kind of go win those games. So like, it is what it is at this point. I don't know where they go from here. I think this right now is going to show us though how much they really believe in Sam Darnold and kind of where they want to go from here. Because you think they get a new quarterback, then Sam Darnold's probably out of here.
Yeah, for sure. He's not sticking around if they bring in a new quarterback. He will likely be traded. I was actually talking to a close friend of mine who mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't know if you remember earlier in the season, Juju Smith-Schuster, who played with Sam Darnold in college, mentioned how he would kind of like to link up with Sam again in Pittsburgh, and that would be a pretty good look for Sam to be in an organization like Pittsburgh, who, you know, their coach has never had a record under 500. And, you know, to be if Big Ben sticks around another season, you can kind of sit back, learn from him a little bit and readjust things and all that. But we'll see what happens over there, man.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be a good spot for him. Like you said, their coach, even when Big Ben was out last year, he showed that he can kind of coach even maybe without the star players and things like that. So that's someone he can kind of learn under. And then if, like you said, if Big Ben stays, then that's someone else he can learn under, kind of like what's going on in New Orleans right now. So that'd be a great situation for him. So maybe he wants to move on too. But I think he came out the other day and said that he wants to stay with the Jets, or he loves the Jets or something like that. So
yeah, he said he wanted to be a Jet for life. Yeah. This was when they still had the number one pick.
Yeah, so we'll see where it goes from here. But I think the next couple of months in the draft is going to lead up and let us know how they really kind of feel about him.
Yeah, and I will say that I know Jets fans are angry that they're missing out on Trevor Lawrence, right? But, you know, as far as the team goes, like these guys aren't tanking. I mean, the organization might be tanking, but the guys on that field are not tanking. They are. I heard someone on ESPN say this, and it was very true. They are like independent contractors. They got to go out and prove to whether it's the organization they're with now or other organizations that they can be key pieces for these other teams or the team they're with, for them to be successful moving forward. So these guys they're trying to win. So, you know, they're not under the same mindset that the fans are and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think no one wants to be a loser, especially if you make it this far and make it to the league or become pro. Most of those players are competitive, so none of them really want to lose. So I doubt anyone would want to lose. So obviously they want to win, so I'm not too surprised.
Yeah, most def. Adia, we are glad that we're back this week too. It was long awaited. So, man, NBA's back, baby. It is back. And I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be more happier. Kayson's been screaming Wiggins 2020 all throughout preseason and whatnot. And I was telling him I don't know why he's talking like that. He's gonna be wrong. He said it's Wiggins 2020. Here we are. We got a lot of basketball to discuss, man. With Kayson, you can speak your piece right now.
It's the start of the season. Him and Kelly Oubre has been playing pretty bad. I will say he has looked kind of bad, but he played good last game against the Bulls, so things could only be maybe up from here. So, you start the season off bad. If that's the case, you only can go up from here. So I expect things to get better as they kind of grow together. And Draymond Green's not playing yet, who's going to be a big part of the team. So hopefully he can get his things together.
I want to say this, man. Steph Curry, all-time great player. He revolutionized the game of basketball with his three-point shooting. He's a three-time NBA champion, multiple-time league MVP. He's great. Can't take nothing away from him. I just got to get this out of the way, though. He's not a guy that can carry a team. He can't do what Russ has done. He can't do what Harden has done. So a lot of people that were like, even with these guys out, they'll be fine. The red flag, or the people saying, it's too early in the season, the red flag should be up just because he is not that guy. It's no disrespect to him at all. He's great. Future, like I said, not taking anything away from the guy. All-time great player, one of the greatest, if not the greatest shooters of all time. All of that, I get it. But he is just not that guy that can carry you to the playoffs by himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I look at Steph since kind of Clay and everyone's not there no more, he kind of looks like he doesn't want to play. I think he had a great game against the Bulls and in the second half against Detroit. So maybe things are coming around for him. But the start of last season and the start of this season, he kind of has not looked that great. And it's like everyone says that they kind of see that he can't carry a team, but why not? Why can't he? I mean, obviously he doesn't have maybe the body like those other guys does, but he has the talent to carry a team. So it's why not?
He can't go through the wear and tear of a full season doing that. We've seen him try. He got hurt twice in one season last year. So that's one of the reasons why. But there's a lot to it. Like I said, he's a guy that will drive you to a championship as long as the right pieces are around him. But if you want him to lead you, solidly lead you to the promised land, it's just not going to happen. And we're seeing it right now.
Yeah, definitely. To me, my problem with him is he looks like he doesn't want to be there. If he goes out and just be aggressive and maybe things just don't work out, then I can kind of live with that. But for me, he kind of just looks like he's kind of just there going through the motions a little bit. So hopefully he kind of gets that together. But I think, what does that say about him? Because a lot of people were saying that maybe he was better than Bron at one point. So
yeah, they were crazy.
I think this hurts his legacy a lot if he doesn't at least get him to the playoffs maybe.
But you know what? A lot of people were coming at me because I had this mindset for years, even when he won unanimous league MVP and all that. I'm like, the same thing I'm saying now. Steph is great, all-time great, all of that. But when we're talking about where he is as a straight-up player among his peers, I didn't put him over certain guys because the things that I would ask certain guys to do, what I asked for LeBron to do as far as leading a team, even guys like Russ and Harden, I know that I understand. I see my man said they don't get chips. I get that. But they can do an entire season. They can do something what Steph can't do. And that is just carry a team to the postseason. We have now seen in one season he couldn't do it. And now, or very early on in this season, we're seeing it again.
Yeah, definitely. I think the last two games look kind of promising for him. Things are kind of maybe coming together. I hope that he can do it because like I said, it's why not? Why can't you do it? But like I said, if he can't do it, I think his legacy kind of takes a big hit here. He kind of, like you said, you can't put him over certain people if he can't lead maybe a team by himself.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You
have to. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say he fits. His game is it fits very nice around people. So he is a very good player. The ability to have KD come and you to adjust your game and not fall off and things like that, to have Clay there and have other great players around you and adjust around that. It's like a talent. Like some people can't do that. So that's good. But like by himself, it just might not be there.
Yeah. I gotta apologize. Not really apologize to you, right? Because I never said that the Nets weren't coming out the East. I said that they were. I said that they were just gonna run through the East, and I still believe that. But man, it is early, but man, do they look good? KD looks like he hasn't lost much of a step. And he's still kicking the rust off. And Kyrie just looks amazing. Unfortunately, Spencer Dinwiddie's most likely out for the season. But you got Karis LeVert in there coming off the bench. Last couple games he was starting with Dinwiddie gone. That team from top to bottom looks so good. And they got the perfect coaching staff, too. We talked about that when they put the coaching staff together. Like, that is going to be a hard team to beat.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see what I've been saying. There's no reason they should not come out the East. They might have looked better than I expected. I expect them to look good, but maybe not that this early. But I kind of like what they've been doing. Like you said, Spencer Dinwiddie going down is kind of tough for them because he kind of let Kyrie not be the point guard 24/7. I know a lot of people kind of got on Kyrie about his ability to maybe lead a team. Spencer Dinwiddie kind of, and KD, because KD he handles the ball sometimes, but really Spencer Dinwiddie kind of let him worry about being that one, but really a two, and then he was that one every now and then, because Spencer Dinwiddie is also like a combo guard, so I think that's something they're really going to miss. I think they have to find a backup guard for that, backup guard in general, but I think that's really going to hurt the team, but they're still deep. Karis LeVert can still come off the bench and things like that, so I like how things started. The last couple of games wasn't that good, and they're down to the Nets right now, the Hawks right now, but KD looks great, so if they can keep it up, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, so do I, man. I think they lost the game the other night, but they're fine. And by the way, because Yes Network tweeted this out that they really because a lot of Knicks fans, some are very close to me. By the way, this ain't a shot. By the way, have been saying how it doesn't matter who the Nets get, they can never overtake New York and all that. This is a Knicks city, and you know what? You're right. In the long run of things, the Nets will never overtake the Knicks when it comes to New York. But now let me break down a history lesson for you guys. Historically, New York belongs to the Yankees. For a very brief moment in time in the 80s, it belonged to the Mets. This is a city that embraces winning. It's a double-edged sword because if you're losing, this is the worst place to play. But if you're winning, it's the best place to play in the world. And if there's a winner here, this is a city that team is going to back. So Yes Network went and put out their ratings and everything for the last couple of games. They completely swept with everything that MSG was putting out. I'm only just saying that to say, like, don't stop dismissing what the Nets are doing right now. Again, in the long run of things, you're right, can't overtake the Knicks. But right now, the Nets are a championship contender, and people in New York are going to get behind that.
Yes, I think, like you said, in the long run of things, it'll probably always be a Knicks town. But I think with the next kind of this generation coming up and the next generation, there'll be a lot more Nets fans. Kind of like the way things work is like you're not going to maybe get the other people who've been fans and things like that to sway. But in the next generation, when they come up and see how bad the Knicks have been since they were like 5 years old and how good the Nets have kind of been, even though they made some questionable moves and things like that. I think there'll be a lot more Nets fans around. So it might not ever be like a Nets town, but I think they have a way better chance than maybe the Clippers do.
And the Knicks, I'll give credit to the Knicks. This season they've looked better. I don't believe in them as a playoff team or anything like that, but the defense has looked very good, which we expected with Tibbs being the coach over there. We've seen some improvement from a few guys. Like, they look good. Obviously, the other issues there, they turn the ball over a little too much, pretty sloppy. And the biggest issue that they've had for years is they need a point guard. But aside from that, like, I'll give them their props. They look like they're progressing a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of what we expected under Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is going to have a great defense. He's going to have those guys playing harder. They're not going to play. So I'm not too surprised. Like you said, it's still early. But even if they do get into the playoffs, I just don't think they have the talent enough to make noise. But they're going to definitely play hard and play defense under Tibbs, or they're not going to play.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Like I said, RJ Barrett looks like he could be the face of your franchise. He's progressing. Like, I think he shot like 35% from three in the preseason. So he still needs to work on his perimeter shot and everything like that. But he looks pretty good. They got some pieces over there. They got some things that they got to work on. But for a while now, it just looked like the same thing. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because they do this a lot early in the season where they get the fans on a high. Like I'm starting to see a lot of people who were killing Julius Randle last year get behind him again. So, pump the brakes a little bit, let a couple more games get in there. It's early, but they do look like they're starting to get somewhere.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you expected when you hire Tibbs. When you hire Tibbs, you figure it's like kind of a changing of a guard, a new start, kind of changed the culture over there. So, like I said, under Tibbs, if you're not playing hard and you're not playing defense, you're probably not going to play. So it's going to start there, and then hopefully they can kind of stack up some wins. Even if they don't get into the playoffs this year, to have a winner or win more than they have recently or go over 500 this season would be a positive, even if they don't get in. So just winning more than they have been recently, which isn't a lot, it's a good sign for them.
Yeah, you want to see progress. You definitely want to see progress. So, got the first question over here from Mike E. Fresh. Who had the best start? Well, I mean, there's two undefeated teams, the Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. So I would have to go with them. I mean, you could obviously we talk about Brooklyn with how good they look, but only two undefeated teams right now, both in the East. Not only two undefeated teams, but these are two teams you've been watching for the last couple years between them being in the lottery and stuff and just taking certain players in the drafts. They're two teams that you're seeing the progress.
Yeah, definitely. I think even like I think the Hawks would be more impressive if I had to pick out of the two. I think we've seen all the moves that they were able to make, and kind of we expected them to be a lot better this year, surrounding more shooters with Trae Young and things like that. But the Magic have kind of been together now for a couple of years. They made the playoffs the last couple of years, and
Last two.
What'd you say?
Last two.
Yeah. So they've been in the playoffs, so you expect them to be all right. I know they played the Wizards twice, which the Wizards kind of look terrible at this moment. So if I had to pick the Hawks, that's a little surprising. We expect them to be good, but undefeated, probably not. But even still, like we kind of just talked about the Nets. I think the Nets could be up there for one of the greatest starts. They're 2-2, but KD and Kyrie didn't play in one of those games, so I think they should still be up there for one of the best starts to the season.
Lakers ain't no slouch either, man. Lakers have looked pretty good.
The Lakers are all right. I think they have some problems that they kind of need to sort out right now with those new guys, but the Lakers, they're going to be all right.
It's not that typical Bron team start, man. Same thing with last year's Lakers. They're doing all right.
Yeah. Well, last year's Lakers kind of started off a lot better. They kind of got off to a hot start. This team looks like you said, like Marc Gasol hasn't been playing that well. Wesley Matthews hasn't been playing that great either. So they have to kind of get those guys to understand their role and figure a couple things out there with this whole new team over there. So they have a couple issues they need to work out, but I think with what we've seen from Bron is they'll work it out.
Got another question here from Mike E. Fresh. Are we going to talk about Pandemic P? Well, Kayson went on a rant last time we were on here about Pandemic P. And I made some fun with him on Instagram the other day. Shannon Sharp has something nice to say about should I keep calling him Pandemic P? We got Push Off P, his own name, Playoff P. That was an early glimpse into what he usually looks like in the playoffs. And they lost by 50. He had about 15 points that night. So I mean, yeah, I don't have much to say. What do you want to say? Because you had a lot to say last time we were on.
If you listened to my rant last week, it's Playoff P. But anyways, you can't put it all on him. It's a team thing. Like like if he doesn't, I mean, Kawhi was out. Kawhi got injured on Christmas and things like that. But
yeah, that was a bad hit.
To lose by 50 is a team thing. That's not, you can't just put that on him. Obviously, we don't even know if he's the leader over there, but he's like the all-star player with Kawhi out. He's probably the best player there. But like, they have Lou Will. They have some other players who should contribute. There should be no reason why they should lose by 50. That's a team thing. Even if Kawhi, like, I guess Kawhi was there, but even if PG plays bad, those guys played a whole season without PG and Kawhi. There's no reason why they should be losing by 50. Like, no reason why at all.
You're not wrong, but 15 points.
Like
Unacceptable.
they,
Unacceptable.
they might have lost by 50 if he had 50. It's like the whole team played bad. Like
They wouldn't have lost by 50 if he had 50. It would have been tied game.
no, no, no. They still might have lost. They still might have got blown out if he played good. That's a team thing. Obviously, he doesn't play good, and people are gonna look at him because he's the all-star, the best player on the team with Kawhi being down. But that's a team thing. Everyone came out and didn't look good. It's not PG doesn't look good, and then the whole team just sinks. Like no. That's a team thing.
I get it. 15 points.
Y'all need to leave PG alone. Y'all gotta look at the stats. Listen to my rant last week. I need to leave that guy alone.
If Paul George wants us to leave him alone, play better. That's all I gotta say.
He had one bad playoff run.
Nah. But I don't want to get into that with you again. Nah. Anyway, so what else we got to talk about? LaMelo Ball, who we all said is going to run away with Rookie of the Year. He's been a little shaky. He's had very good games. He's had very good moments. He's also had some games that were not so good. I seen somebody say his biggest weaknesses are on the highest display right now, but his weaknesses are things that we already knew about.
Yeah, I think his shot looks a lot better than people expected. He's been hitting shots at a higher clip than I expected him to. I think that's a rookie. He's like, as much as we all thought he was going to come out and be great, preseason is preseason. A lot of starters don't play a lot of minutes. A lot of the top guys don't play a lot of minutes. Preseason, it is what it is. So that's a rookie. You're going to be up. You're going to be down. There's going to be things like that. So I'm kind of not too surprised, I think. And his shot, like I said, looks better than I expected. Maybe the passing hasn't been there a little bit as it was in the preseason. But what I've learned of watching preseason, regular season, that people look real great in the preseason, or teams look great in the preseason. But when that ball gets tipped for a regular season game, things can change a lot. So, like I said, a lot of people don't play during the preseason. So it's good. He's a rookie. It's going to be ups and downs. I'm not too surprised.
You know what I do want to bring up? We made this big thing about Giannis and everything, right? About him staying in Milwaukee and all that, signing that Supermax when he could have waited it out and, see what things are. Miami was very heavily involved, or not heavily involved, but they talked about, they linked him and Miami together a lot. He decided to stay. We talked about that. They got blown out by the Knicks. And I don't know if you saw his face after that game. He looked very, not happy. Was it a mistake or is it too early?
I think it's too early for anything, to be honest, because the season can turn around like that. Well, I guess we're maybe 4 or 5 games in. People look great now. We can come back in 2 weeks, and the Magic can go on a 4-game losing streak and be 4-4. So I think it's too early for anything, and for anyone to kind of think anything. But it's with everything right now, I'm kind of gonna say it's too early. But some things look good.
Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and I know it's early, but those two look pretty good together. I don't know if you got to see them the other night putting the finishing touches on a win. How about that?
Not too surprising. We've seen what Chris Paul did last year with the Oklahoma City Thunder and kind of how he's kind of able to drag those guys into the playoffs. And we've seen how the Suns looked in the bubble. They got Chris Paul, they got Jay Crowder, they got some more veterans around them. They went 8-0 in the bubble. Just to add those guys, I expect that. Chris Paul, I think, was one of the most clutch players in the league last year, and then with finally having a real kind of true point guard around him, it just opens up the space for Devin Booker to be that scorer that we all know he can. So with Chris Paul out there, it gives him a little more space. And I think on that last game when he shot, I think they were playing Dallas, maybe I forgot what they were playing. So how he was kind of able to get the ball at the top and kind of create, because people can't really kind of double as much. So it's kind of more what I expected. So I'm not too surprised.
Yeah. And we said it when they linked them up together. Be wary of the Phoenix Suns. That's definitely a team to watch out for. They got the new unis too, look very good in those. Pause. But it's definitely looking good in Phoenix right now, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think I wouldn't guarantee it, but I would almost guarantee that they kind of get into the playoffs. Like I said,
is that the Charles Barkley guarantee?
It's a little better than Charles Barkley guarantee, but I think, I would put money on them getting to the playoffs. I think with Because if Chris Paul can get the Thunder last year into the playoffs, you had Devin Booker, Jay Crowder to that team. They should be a playoff team.
All right, most definitely, and I agree. I definitely agree. It's something to watch out for. It's again, it's early, but there's some key teams that ain't in the playoffs right now. The Rockets, things haven't been that great with them. We were off last week, so we missed some things to talk about. I mean, we've made a big thing about James Harden and everything, and he looks out of shape and all that. Wasn't in training camp and everything. He goes out and puts up one of those career type nights again, and that's with him just chilling. Like CJ McCollum really said it best. Like it doesn't really matter what he's doing off the court. At the end of the day, James Harden is really good at basketball. But with that being said, it's not a good situation in Houston right now. He got into a fight with a rookie over there. Like he letting it be more like they started seeing rumors that he's extended his trade request list to Portland was one of those teams. I forget the other two, but Portland. I mean, I think you either retweeted it or said it yourself. Portland, like really, like just say that you don't want to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think I had seen someone else tweet later on that I think their GM is someone he coached him in high school or something like that. So he has a couple connections in Portland. And if you put him with Dame Lillard, I think that's a team that could kind of make it far. I think you see what he was able to do with Chris Paul and then Russell Westbrook last year. So you see what with Damian Lillard, not that bad. But like I kind of told you before, I think he just wants out of Houston. Like I said, I think they don't want to play for that owner over there no more. Fertitta no more, and I think he kind of just wants to get out of there any way possible. Because if you think about it, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, I think Eric Gordon too have been having to quarantine.
They're out right now. Yeah. They're all those guys are out right now with a COVID. They had a little COVID situation over there, so those guys weren't even playing.
Yeah, so they've been missing their key guys besides James Harden technically, and they lost to Portland at kind of by a buzzer beater, not a buzzer beater, but a game winner from CJ McCullough. So they look good. So if you think about it, you add those guys, and we saw how they looked during the preseason, you would think that's a team that you can think and stay and with James Harden, how James Harden's looked earlier on in the season. They're definitely going to get into the playoffs, but it's like I think they can make noise into the playoffs. So if you look at the team, it's like, especially everything that has gone through since he requested the trade, you would consider staying, especially with how the trade market is going right now and what Houston is asking for you. The trade looks like it's kind of far off. So it would be better kind of just to stay. But like I said, I just think he doesn't want to be there at all no more. And I think he doesn't want to play for that owner.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just feel like it's a multitude of reasons why he wants out, the owner being one. And even with the owner, I think it's more than just one reason with him. You know, I just think that he sees that there's no light at the end of the tunnel and he wants to win a championship. But, you know, it's tough. I actually saw Portland, speaking to them, they got an offer from Houston where, you know, CJ McCollum was in that deal and Portland turned that down. Where they don't want, and I've been a little bullish on Portland after last season. Again, and they played some amazing basketball to get into the playoffs to begin with. But they're a team to me that's just kind of stagnant. Like they are who they are. And, you know, they're not going to get any, like they hit their, I felt like when they made the Western Conference Finals, they hit their peak. And I feel like at some point they got to blow it up. But with Harden, if you're going to add him to that, it's a little shocking to me that they wouldn't want to tweak their team a little bit. Maybe they don't want to mess with the chemistry. I don't know. But that was a little crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard for them to mess with that chemistry right now in the middle of the season, especially after you see how CJ McCullough came out and played against the Rockets. So I think for a lot of teams right now, it's going to be, they don't want to mess up the chemistry kind of that they have going, especially now in Portland, because those guys have been together for a while now. I think if you look after this season, that'd be a trade that they'll definitely be interested in. Or if things start to tumble during this season, that'd be a trade they're interested in. But I think right now, with kind of how things are going, they want to keep those guys and keep the chemistry that they got and see where they can go.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And it's a barn burner out there in the West. Even still with the East getting better and everything, it's tough. You still got Denver out there. We mentioned how Phoenix is getting better. Minnesota doesn't look too bad right now. The other night they got a win. Karl Anthony Towns got the game ball for his mom, and shout out to him for all that. We definitely send our condolences and everything to this day. But you know, it's a barn burner out there still. Even though we made a little jokes about the Clippers and everything, but there's still a team to be feared out there in the West too.
Yeah, definitely. I think I said it on here. I think the Clippers would be the second best team in the. They could maybe be one because the Lakers, like I said, the Lakers have some issues they maybe need to work out over there. So they could maybe be one. Things are kind of up in the air right now. It's still early on, so you want to take things too much. But the Hawks are looking good right now against the Nets. So
I mean, they're two. They're two right now. The Lakers are actually seventh with the 2-2 record. But again, we're kind of spitballing here because it's very early in the season.
yeah, it's definitely kind of way too early in the season. But like I said, the Lakers just look like they have some things to kind of sort out. I think even with in the starting lineup, it's kind of like Schroeder wants to be the point guard all the time because he's not that great of a shooter. And LeBron, from what happened last year, he was the point guard all the time. So I think they have a kind of a chemistry issue there with how they're going to kind of balance Schroeder playing off ball as much, and then kind of Bron playing because they're both kind of the point guards right now.
Yeah, and that's weird to me because when they brought him in, like that was one of the things that they talked about with that those two were going to be on the court together, and they felt like that was going to be a mix. And I didn't think it was a bad thing because Schroeder's a guy that can actually score the ball fairly well. I mean, this is a guy that was in the sixth man of the year conversation. I know you thought he should have won it, but that was a little in the way Braun plays as well, how he's able to set guys up. So that's a little weird to me. But I think we've been talking a little bit about how it's early in the season, right? So I think get those guys a little more time to play together, chemistry getting right, and we'll see what happens. Because I mean, here's something for you. We talked a lot about him and Rondo the last couple years playing together, and how that it didn't seem like that worked when they were on the court together because they had a lot of the same skill set. Rondo wasn't that great of a shooter, but those guys ended up winning a championship together, and they looked very good together very late in the season. And I mean, Rondo went out and did what he always does in the playoffs. So I'm only saying that because I think give us some time and we'll see what happens.
Hold on. Hello.
Hey, Kayson, how are you?
How's it going?
Oh, we're live.
What happened?
Are you smoking?
No, no, I'm not.
Hold on 1 second.
Hold on, wait 1 second. I have to take this call.
His name is Kayson. Kayson, yes.
Kayson, what's up?
What's up?
You alright?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
You getting on the phone smoking, huh?
Nah, I'm not smoking. I don't know why she said that.
You don't know why she said that?
No, not at all.
Man, nice to meet you, man. Heard you wanted to meet me and everything. Good to meet you and everything.
Nice to meet you too.
Alright, man, you take it easy, alright?
All right.
Alright.
Bye, Kayson.
See you later.
All right.
You gotta share with the viewers what's going on. Who did you just meet?
Gary Payton. Sorry, I had to take that call.
So Gary Payton was just on the rundown.
Yeah, I did. That was bad timing, but I had to take that call.
He's not just gonna let that. Did you guys end up tuning in to see how nonchalant that was? Gary Payton was just on the rundown.
That was kind of terrible timing, but yeah, Gary Payton just called me. Yeah.
Nah, man, you can't. Gary Payton was just on the rundown.
That was my bad, guys. I had to take the call.
No, that was great. And of course, we get a couple more viewers after Gary Payton comes on the rundown. I'm gonna keep saying that, man. Can we get that in the topic of the day? Gary Payton was on the rundown.
Yeah.
The glove, baby. That I love it, man. I love it.
Well, I guess I should have told him to say hi, but that was kind of like that was bad timing.
Oh man, where were we before Gary Payton came on the rundown?
I don't know. I don't know. We were talking about kind of how it was too early on in the season.
Yeah. No, it's too early on in the season. The Lakers, they got some things to work on and whatnot, but they'll be all right. That's championship DNA, and I'm not wavering from what I said. They're three-peating. I got that happening, baby. It's going down.
Who? The Lakers?
Yeah.
No, I already told you I got the Nets taking this early on. They look good, so I'm sticking with my Nets pick. Either it's going to be this year or next year. The Nets are going to get them.
All right. We'll see. We'll see how things go. You know, but I'm not just like Wiggins 2020 for you. I'm not wavering from this one.
No, it'd be pretty tough because, like, if you think about it, they won last year. Everything that happened in the bubble and things like that. Someone's gonna figure them out by either this year or next year. They switched the whole roster around, so we see how that issues maybe causing some problems and things like that. But I think by this year or next year, either because the Clippers are still there, even though the people think that the issues that the Clippers had, things like that. I think those are all fixable issues. They got a new coach in there, and then the Nets. So I think there's teams that can kind of knock them off their throne, especially to say 3. If you said 2, I'd be like, all right, maybe they can get it this year. But I think by next year, now that they switch that whole roster around again, I think that they'll get it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get back to the East a little bit. A team that is struggling a little bit, but I think they'll be fine in the end. The Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler's actually hurt. I saw somebody in here brought up when we talking about the Bucks. They brought up how they just set a 3-point record that was against the Miami Heat. And Precious Achiuwa looks great, by the way. He's somebody that I like when they picked him up. They're always a team that knows how to pick guys up and do something with them. Kind of bringing it more specifically because we were talking about Rookie of the Year earlier as well. Remember Kendrick Nunn? Kendrick, who finished second in Rookie of the Year voting, he was a key piece for them throughout the season. Contracted COVID, wasn't playing up to par, sat out, then came back in the finals when Goran Dragic got hurt, and was a key piece for them again. He hasn't really been in their rotation much, and I believe that Spo said he would be now because Jimmy got hurt, and he's a guy that they still believe in. But I mean, that's a fall from grace to be, someone who was spoken about so much last season and thought about so highly. Again, finished second in Rookie of the Year voting and to be where he is now. What are we thinking with him? Is it possible that he could be not only just moved on from the Miami Heat, but maybe even possibly on his way out, or are we jumping the gun there?
I think we it'd be jumping the gun maybe too early. It's still like everything we was kind of just saying. It's still early on in the season, but for him to be kind of out the rotation is maybe questionable a little bit. But he looked good in a couple of games in the finals, so it's too early. But I think it's something definitely to watch out for there. He might, like you said, he might be on his way out the door. But you're the Heat guy. Tell me what you think about it.
I haven't had the chance to really watch him enough, you know what I mean? But with everything that's been going on in my life and stuff, but I think if he can get his opportunities, he'll be fine, But he's got to be able to get those opportunities. I think he's shown enough last year where if Miami were to move on from him, another team would give him a look. But again, he's got to get those opportunities. So I think Jimmy being out for the time he's going to be out should help him out a bit, and we'll see where he goes from there. But it's tough because they're so deep. Avery, one of the big reasons why he hasn't been playing is because they picked up Avery Bradley, and Avery Bradley's kind of been taking his minutes.
Yeah, definitely. I think even if he gets released, I think there's a lot of teams out there who kind of want him. So he'll have a list of teams that he would want to go to. I mean, a list of teams that would be interested in him if he becomes available. Like you said, you thought he might have been able to win Rookie of the Year last year, so that's just not gonna go away. I think a lot of people think you get him. I
didn't think he was gonna win it. I knew he was gonna be in the conversation. Nobody was taking that from Ja.
All right, true. But like I said, for him to almost be up, for him to be up there in the Rookie of the Year talks, I think that a lot of teams, especially a young team, I can't think of one right now, but a young team who has some maybe not gonna win right now and has just want to maybe look at players or has time for players to play, will definitely get him in there just to see what he can do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hey, we were talking about Brooklyn needing a backup point guard. It could happen. We'll see with that. But hey, he's still in Miami, so don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We'll watch his development throughout the season as it moves forward. So before we get out of here, I want to talk about the Washington Wizards, and we made a big deal about them when they got Russ over there. Like the way he's individually, like the way he's looked, like the way that Bradley Beal's looked as well. But as a team, they have started 0-4, which is not a good look. They've been in games and things like that, but it doesn't change the fact that they're 0-4. So remember when they first got PG and Carmelo, they had a rough start. Are you seeing similar vibes here? Do you think that it's not going to to go good for Washington this season? Because we were high on them.
I think what I've seen from Washington, watching them the first couple of games, they have young players who play hard, but they are not. I don't want to say they're not talented, but they're not winners yet. You know what I mean? Like, they play hard, and you like that and things like that, but they just don't know how to kind of win yet, which is kind of unfortunate to have kind of Russ and Bradley Beal over there with them. Russ hasn't looked good. Well, he had a good game yesterday, but the first 2 games he didn't look that great. So, like, it's like like I said, they have some young players who play hard, and that's what you kind of want, but they're just not. Their defense is terrible. I think Scott Brooks has made some questionable calls himself. I think they just kind of got to learn how to win. And I guess we've seen all the videos of Russ teaching them and things like that. But I think maybe as the season goes on, after they get 1 win, maybe 2 wins, they have to learn how to win and turn that playing hard into playing maybe smarter and getting some wins in there.
Yeah, and, we talk about Russ. Russ has been a culture change. The guys over there have said it as well. He's been a culture changer. What I liked about him in Washington as well was, in other stops, he's been kind of looked at as this cancer and thing. And we've disputed that a bunch on our end of things. But now people are starting to talk a little differently about Russ as a teammate and things with Washington, because a lot of those guys are buying into what he does. One thing I will say to defend him a little bit is he never really had a training camp with them. So I think he's still kind of getting implemented into Washington and the team and everything. And I think once they kind of really gel together more, it'll be a lot better. But like we were talking about again, it's still early in the season, and they have some things that they have to work out.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, Russ missed training camp, which I don't know. He also missed one of the games because he's not playing back-to-backs. So I don't know how good that's been working out for them. He looks a little rusty and things like that. So maybe if he played in training some preseason games, they have more kind of chemistry together. But they just have to learn how to play together during the season. I think, like you said, maybe starting off 0-4 is kind of good for them. There's a lot of things that they know they can work on and things like that. So, like I was saying earlier, it can only be up from here for them. So you hope for the best. But they have Bradley Beal and they have Westbrook, so I think they can turn it around, especially in the Eastern Conference.
And those are 2 guys if you really know your basketball, those are 2 guys that you can go to war with anytime and know that you'll be pretty well off.
Yeah, I think Russ. When Russ comes around, I think a lot of their problems will maybe go away. I think he doesn't even look like his normal self with the energy he usually has. So I think when he comes around and he kind of can take over a game and things like that, I think him and Bradley Beal together, be able to take over a couple games and get them some wins. And then the young guys will just come along and you kind of see how kind of how they do it, and they'll be able to learn and just. Those guys will be able to bring them along slowly. So as the season goes on, they'll be playing better basketball by the time playoffs come.
Yeah, man, most def. So we got one more question over here. How do we feel about the Celtics? The Celtics are good. They're another team in there that they're coming off of Eastern Conference Finals performance. Jason Tatum looks very good. He got him a win very late with a buzzer, not a buzzer beater, but towards the buzzer. They'll be good. I said I think Washington could be that team that gets into the Eastern semis. It could be Boston again, So we'll see. But I like Boston as far as what they're doing and everything. I don't think that they'll make the Eastern Conference Finals this year, but I like the development of the young guys there, and I think they're gonna be a key cog in the East.
Honestly, we talked about the Bucks on here about how if they don't get to the finals, it'd be upsetting. Where do the Celtics go if they don't get to the finals? Because they've been in the conference finals the last 2 years. I guess you say those guys were young. And the year they didn't make it, they had Kyrie. But they were in the conference finals last year. It's like, it's time for them to make it to the finals or something. For them to keep going out in the conference finals, I guess you don't want to break those young guys up because they are young. But it's like, where do they go from here if they don't make it to the conference finals? So I think it's kind of finals or bust for them. I don't think they're going to make it to the finals. But I think it's kind of finals or bust for them. And then where do they kind of go from here if they don't get to the finals?
Yeah, it's like what I was talking about with Portland. They're just there. It's another team. Like I don't expect them to get far. And I don't think they should break them up either. But Danny Ainge has to do something, because this team isn't built right. This team isn't built to beat those monsters in the East that are there. Like he needs to. Danny Ainge is a pick hoarder, right? He keeps even now with with how far they've gotten. He brings in Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker is not even playing right now. He's got to use these assets that he has and bring somebody big time in there. He could have brought Jimmy Butler in there a few years ago, didn't want to do it. He actually could have brought Paul George in there a couple years ago, didn't want to do it. Could have brought Anthony Davis in, didn't want to do it. He's got to utilize these assets and start putting a championship product out there, because right now they're just a good team, and that's it.
Yeah, definitely. But they have some young players who look like they can kind of, I don't know if you want to say take over the league.
But they're young. They're still young.
But that's why they're in an interesting spot, because they have young players who have been able to get to the conference finals already. But then now that they've been able to get to the conference finals, like, you guys got to take that next step. So it's like, how long do you hold on to them to see if they could take that next step before maybe you blow it up, or you keep surrounding them with different pieces? Because the last couple of years you surrounded them with different pieces. You tried Kyrie, you tried Hayward, you tried surrounding them with different pieces, and it's kind of just been the conference finals every year. Do you wait and see, like, okay, Bron was here, that was the issue first, he's gone. Now maybe KD's going to be the issue, and they're young, so you let them grow and then let those guys kind of get out the way, and then maybe they'll take over the East. So it's interesting to see what Boston's going to do from here.
Well, I mean, this is Jason Tatum's, third year in the league now?
Or
fourth year, maybe?
It's like
fourth year in the league. Yeah. Guys like that, I can't, how much you want, and he's playing well. You can't say too much. You got to still let them develop a little more. Again, they've had some amazing success as a young team, but I just don't feel like they have the right pieces there to win a chip. Like, when Oklahoma City went to the NBA Finals, they had a great young core, but they also had the right pieces in there to push it even further. Boston does not have that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they don't have none of those top picks really no more. But as I say, you keep surrounding them. A lot of veterans are going to see how they look and how they looked over the last couple of years and how great of a coach Brad Stevens is, and a lot of veterans are gonna want to come play there. So it's like, yeah, they're young, and I don't think you want to add more young pieces maybe around them. I don't know where Boston's gonna go from here, honestly, because it's like they might just have to wait until it's their time. Those guys are still young.
I think that's exactly what it's going to be. If Danny Ainge keeps going about things the way that he's going about them, I think that's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know what else they can probably do unless they try to blow it up. But like I said, they might just have to wait until it's their time. But like I said, again, it's going to then come down to how long is too long. But I guess with those guys, if they stay winning, it's going to be like, all right, just hopefully 1 year you kind of break through. Hopefully some teams maybe have a year where they fall off or something happens, injuries do happen, and then you kind of break through. If they get one championship out of it, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure. But again, we gotta wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it's gonna be with them. They're young, so since they're so young, it's just gonna be like, let's just wait and kind of play it out, because anything can happen. Like you said, the Nets kind of have all their players kind of have injury history for the most part. So you never know what could happen with them. The Bucks have a record of folding in the playoffs and not getting it done. So you think 1 year maybe you can kind of knock those guys off. And then after that, it's kind of a toss-up. I think them and the Heat. I mean, the Heat won the series last year in the conference finals, but you think maybe if they get on a streak, they win it. So after that, it's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. So, that's our show, man. We want to wish you guys a happy holidays, happy New Year. 2020 was a lot of lows. There were a couple highs in there. I could say for myself, I had some good things happen for me in 2020, even with everything bad going on. And 2020 hasn't been easy for me, trust me. I've got a lot of personal things I'm trying to work through right now, but I want to personally thank all you guys that support us all the time. This show is something that when I'm feeling low and I can come on here and talk with Kay and talk with you guys, it's something that always brings me back up. So I appreciate it, and I hope you guys had a happy holidays and a happy New Year.
Same. Happy holidays, happy New Year's to everyone. Late Merry Christmas. My fault for that phone call. It wasn't supposed to happen in the middle of the show, but I guess you guys got to be there. But like I always say, thank everyone that's here. Thank everyone that left, and appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we don't hate the phone. I mean, it was a little crazy, but then we found out that Gary Payton called into the show, so that was cool.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Maybe we can get him on one day. But hey, man, thank you guys for tuning in again. We'll see you guys next year. Peace.
Forgot it's next year.